Welcome everyone to Political Paradigm. I am Terry Ikumi. My guest today is a frontline female politician from Abia State. She is one of the highest ranking members of the House of Representatives. She is regarded as a man by some of her colleagues because of her political doggedness. She is the Deputy Majority Leader, the Deputy Majority Whip of the House of Representatives, Honorable Onyejeocha. Honorable, welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you, Terry. I've never had anybody refer me as a man.
Oh, yes, you were on the floor of the...
No, I don't accept that.
On the
My
floor.
next word, I will be a woman.
Yeah, okay. You know, in this world of this Nigerian politics that is dominated by men, you have shown doggedness, and that's why I've heard your colleagues on the floor say, this one is part of us. But let me start by saying I thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview, because you are one of the few, if not the only female politician right now that is open to having conversations on national issues. And it's really disturbing to find that many other female politicians, especially your colleagues at the National Assembly, do not do that. And I think it's important in the advocacy for women participation in politics and governance, which you champion quite well. And what this does is that other women in politics fail to understand that they are shutting the door to other women who may want to be interested in politics when they refuse to be visible, when they don't want to speak on national issues. You cannot be in hiding and still be advocating for women participation in politics. What this also shows is that other men do not see the doggedness, if I may use that word, and it doesn't encourage other women to want to come forward to take part in politics. But once again, I thank you very much for agreeing to do this with us. So let's begin with your political history now. You are a very strong politician. How did you end up a career politician, especially in this terrain, this Nigerian terrain, that political terrain that only favors, majorly favors men?
Well, I can say thank you, Terry, for having me on this platform. I can really say nothing happens by accident. I was born into a political family. At the time, my father was one of the kingmakers. There was no local government chairman that emerged from my area that was not endorsed by my father. Then, from my grandmother's side, she was a community leader, an opinion molder. If you are looking for somebody that will tell you the truth without mincing words, without fear nor favor, you go and look for my grandmother. And so I grew up with her because I lost my mother very early. I got married, and I threw my home open. People who were hungry would pass through my house to eat, even though we were not well-to-do at that time. But because my grandmother was somebody of influence, we never lacked anything living with her. And of course, it was after she died, that life turned very difficult for me. And I can tell you, I graduated from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, without paying school fees. And my father was rich. I do not want to say it often, but it's good to say it. Because after my mother died, my grandmother influenced my father to marry somebody that's related to us. And it turned out very bad. The woman was not nice. She refused my father to train me. And so my grandmother was training me until she died. And so that's that. And so from that background of giving out to people, relating to people, to community, following her all about, and I was somebody who was always following her around. Because of what I was doing, that at a time, I don't know what went wrong with the government and then people they appoint from my local government. And so the foremost traditional ruler then, Igwe Araka, from my husband's place, asked that I should come to host the governor then, Onyejeocha. And I was like, why? I was in US then, so I was going to have my fourth child, I guess. I said, what for? What's that? What does that mean? They said, anyway, that the governor is coming to visit the local government and they're looking for people of influence to host him in their house, and they want me to come because they will reappoint commissioner and they want somebody to help, that will help them galvanize votes. Remember, I wasn't a politician. I wasn't in any political party. And so that was how, after all said and done, we came home. I came back from the US around April 2002, and then we hosted the governor, the current Senate Chief Whip. And so from there, they asked me to be the commissioner from my local government. Of course, I rejected it. I said, like, what? I can't do that, because before then, 2 weeks after I got married, my husband was shot by armed robbers. So I was helping him in his business and then took care of his clearing business. And I was the person going to the port, and I was the person doing the clearing. And so how will I now leave the business to come to do a commissioner work in my local government? But as God will have it, they prevailed, and I came. And so that was my first shot in politics. And of course, it didn't come without protests from core politicians. Oh, she's too young. Because I was under 30. She's not a politician. She doesn't have experience. We were the people who formed the party, this, that, and that. But what they couldn't remove from me was the fact that my gates were open. And as a young girl who just got married, every time I'm in the village, I bring in people that are less privileged. And that time I already started my scholarship scheme for indigent students. And I wasn't a politician, but I was giving people scholarships.
So that means at that level you were already already open and in touch with your people.
Exactly.
But then did you receive any political mentorship before you entered politics?
No, because what I am doing now was what my grandmother was doing. So.
But with the times that we're in now, since you didn't receive, would you advise that women go through political mentorship? And how important is it?
Yes, mentorship is good, but it starts from family orientation. It depends. See, I believe, like somebody, my late Senator Chukwumerije asked me at a time, said, how do you combine politics with Christianity? Like, I will never take lies for politics. I'll tell you the truth, even when I'm at fault. I'll tell you exactly, this is what I did, and this is the reason why I did that. And so that's not politics. Politics is, for people, is when you do something, you deny. You lie. You tend to lie all the time. You tend to deceive people and believe that that's politics. So because of my background, I didn't have any other mentor like what we are advocating now. Because see the scenario these days. Parents are working. They may not be politicians. And then they are training their children. And then they are focused on education. Most people do not even connect to their community. But for you to even be in politics, you must come from a particular ward. You understand?
So it must start from the lowest level.
Lowest level. And then majority of people do not. And the people who are supposed to have are not even interested.
Is this?
And so it's just because of this that you need some mentorship, because people must do this job.
Is this having a direct impact on women? In terms of women who want to go into politics,
yes,
let's say, at that local level as you
yes,
have
at local level. And of course, you see what politics have turned people to be. When I was living with my grandmother, I didn't see people taking guns, harassing people. I didn't see people...
All in the name of politics.
All in the name of politics, fighting and all whatnot. And so now, for a woman to come to join politics, the person is confronted with victimization, with abuses, left, right, and center. The made-up one, the one they concoct, and things like that. So you're coming from a background that everything is very tensed. It's not like the community thing. Like then, the community will decide this person will go for us, and that's it.
Well, was this the case in 2007 when you first won your election into the House of Representatives?
My 2007 experience, anytime I remember it, I feel nostalgia because you see, it was very tough. Remember, I was a commissioner and later a local government chairman, and then the governor then moved to a political party, PPA. But for some reasons, I didn't move with them. I stayed back in PDP. So somebody who is fighting against the government of the day, against the commissioner, against the sitting senator, against the local government chairman, even against my father, who said, because Oji appointed me commissioner, and so I couldn't have stayed back in PDP. Because at that time, my father had become a traditional ruler. Okay? So, you know, the traditional rulers then, they would do the governor's bidding. So my father couldn't reconcile the fact that his daughter is not following the governor that gave him the staff of office. But remember, my background is that of the people who you are, believe in yourself, work hard. It's about the people, and it's not about anybody. I remember that after the commissioner trip and then the local government chairman, I went back to Lagos to do my business. And then the traditional rulers came and said that I must come to represent them at the House of Representatives. So at that point, it was them, not me.
You.
Yeah. And so they took it like it's their own business. You understand? But of course, there are some traditional rulers who believe that the governor called the shot, and so they were going to do the governor's bidding in PPA. My father was one of those. You understand? But because I had already decided to run.
Well, why did you decide to stay back in the PDP when the governor had moved to the PPA?
Because I believe that if I moved with them, I wouldn't get ticket. Because of his influence. Is anybody that he wants to go would have made the ticket. And so from the things on ground, I had fallen out with the government in power, and so they weren't going to give me ticket. And so I stayed back PDP because I had already made up my mind to run for House of Representatives.
It's been 15 years since you were first elected into the House of Representatives, and you have remained a very, very, very dogged politician as a woman. I know you faced obstacles left, right, and center. How have you been able to stay this relevant? Because we see what other female politicians go through. Some lose their seats and have to go reclaim it. So I recall clearly how much Senator Onyejeocha had to fight to go to the House, lost that, came back to the Senate. It was a process, but you have stayed in the House of Representatives since 2007. How have you been able to do this?
I believe that first and foremost is God's grace. Because without God, I couldn't have even done anything in the first place. I couldn't have survived the trajectory of not being a politician and suddenly you were appointed a commissioner. It was a very big fight because the politicians, they were always like, you can't come and take over because you are not part of us. So that conspiracy has always been there. But remember, I was in my house, and the first time, the foremost traditional ruler in my community, Igwe Araka, Emeka Ogoro, called that I should come and host the governor. After then, they came again from the 4 zones in my local government, all the way to Lagos. The same Igwe Araka, Epa 1 of Epa from zone 3, then Leru from Umucheze, and then Uchiwan from Isuchi, all the way to Lagos to say, come and go to the House of Representatives to represent us. And so from that level, it's not just about you, it's about the people. And these are owners of the land. These are people who control their people. These are people who are representing their people at that level.
So it's almost safe to say that you have the full support of your people. And
Simple.
that's why you have
It's as simple as that. And I did not disappoint them, because even as local government chairman or chairperson, I made sure that I did what I was supposed to do at that particular point. I used the little resources at that time to build culvert. I reclaimed the electricity in my community, in the local government. I sent one traditional ruler to Israel, and then the wife of traditional ruler, the Ugeze, one traditional ruler, and of course the party chairman of my local government. Because I believe that what the Bible says, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, I will heal the land. So as local government chairperson, I'm like, what will you do? Get these people back to God first. Like I just said, it's about God and it's about God's grace. As a local government chairman, even as commissioner, I brought people to the government house to hold morning prayers for the government. To be honest, politics without Christ is useless.
What if you combine this with development in your community? Because, Nigerians would want to question why we are so religious and not really paying attention to the developmental issues.
Yeah, that's the point. I will do my bit, because I know that after here, I have somebody who is my creator who asks me questions. And so that is the only thing that is at the back of my mind in everything I do. In my conversation with you, I wouldn't want to lie. That's why sometimes I shy away from interviews, because I'm going to say the truth. And then people would like to hear the truth. And so, but if you know that it's God that you're answerable to, because when you slept yesterday, you didn't remember who you were. There's somebody that controls you. And so that person is the ultimate being that you will give account of how you fared here. And so, because the people brought me out, so I owe them responsibility to be able to represent them very well. At every point, I believe that, hey, you are here because of X, Y, Z. You are here because of these people. And so you can't shortchange them. And then knowing that you cannot shortchange them. So which option would they have? To continue to support you. Because for them, it's...
But beyond bringing your people closer to God, what other...
That's the first thing I did, even as a local government chairperson. And then bringing dividends of democracy to the people. Without that, even if you're a pastor, or if you're a bishop, and you do not take care of their need, you don't represent them very well, you do not tell them the way it is, they're not going to trust you.
I think it's almost easy to say that's probably why, because you have the acceptance of your people, that's probably why you were able to switch from the PDP to the APC in 2019, even though the APC is not a popular party in the Southeast.
You trust your people and they trust you.
Absolutely, that's my point.
And when you tell them, this is what's happening, and of course that time, the other people that were in the parliament, that we came 2007, they were getting the nod for fourth time from the governor. But from me, no. I said, okay, fine and good. Let me speak to the people and let them understand what's going on. And their question is, why will you give somebody from the South fourth term in the name of Honorable Abonta and Senator Abaribe, the former minority leader, and then our own daughter, you're saying she can't go again? There's something fishy. And I told them it's very simple. That if all of us come from Abia, and then there's a principal position, they wouldn't want me to have it because I'm not from the governor's place. So it's safer for him to bring his people forward and then shut us out. I said, we took the decision. You are a federal lawmaker, so you join APC. We'll join you to go to APC. The governor threatened the traditional rulers. But on 30th October 2018, the day I declared openly for APC, they were in the field. And while we were there, they were sending text messages that they will collect the staff of office from them. And I said, you can collect the staff of office, then we use wood and govern our people. You understand? Because this is who we want to represent us. And on that particular day, they even gave chieftaincy title to the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, open field, under APC. So the power belongs to the people.
You know, this...
And for a lawmaker or anybody, whether you're a commissioner or anybody, you must give account of your stewardship to your people.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't...
If you pride yourself so much in the stewardship to your people, which has kept you in the House of Representatives, it draws the question of the issue with the current National Assembly, where a lot of lawmakers will not be returning because they had failed to secure their ticket. And a lot of them are sulking and blaming their governors and possibly some of the errors in the Electoral Act for their failure to return. However, it draws the question of maybe they are not in touch with their people as well. They have not been accountable to the people. And that's why they are not bold enough to walk to another party and win an election.
I do not totally agree. You know, some people may be close to their people, but they still don't have this conviction that is worth it. Some lawmakers believe, listen, I'm helping you. I'm doing my best. I have scholarship scheme. I've attracted XY projects. I'm not the executive, and yet I've delivered. But yet, you are listening to the governor. Do you know that some constituents will go to the governor that they don't want this person to return? So many people are walking away, not because that if they go to another party, they won't win, but because they're not convinced as I am that, listen, I am here for a purpose. God cannot bring me here for somebody to dictate when I end.
Let me take you back to 2019 now. We're talking about the political history. In 2019, when you wanted to run for Speaker of the House of Representatives, and then you eventually pulled out 24 hours to the day. Now, there were two reasons why you wanted to run. One, you were convinced that a woman should be given the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And then secondly, you were convinced that the Southeast should also get that opportunity. Sure. And you had the support of your people at the time, but you pulled out for party reasons to allow the party's decision to reign. How did your people take it? Because they supported you and they were looking forward to a Southeastern speaker.
Oh, yeah. Oh yes. Let me tell you this. My campaign was based on competency. Listen, in 2015, the APC said that they were not giving us any principal office position because we do not have a ranking member as at that time.
That's the Southeast?
Yes, Southeast. Then in 2019, I returned, fourth-time member. As I believe that maybe they've forgotten the reason they gave in 2015. And I said to myself, you cannot neglect two constituencies, the women and then the Southeast. And of course, a ranking member. And then I put up to contest for the speakership. But then I was telling the party, you must revisit the zoning. Apart from the competency angle, I was saying that the party must revisit the zoning. And that was why I said that Mr. Speaker should step aside and advise the party as a leader that he was our leader. And as a leader of the parliament, of the house at that time, not just leader of majority, but the leader of the house, and from APC, that there are certain times people pay sacrifice because of the truth. And so that he should advise the party to revisit the zoning, that Southeast shouldn't be cut off or neglected at that point. And so I pushed and I pushed and I pushed until few days to the inauguration. They called me and said, listen, we have taken the decision because the president said that the speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, and then the Senate President had paid their dues and that they were supposed to be in 2015
in the 8th Assembly, yes.
and they were denied. so that he has said that they should, for him, be promoted to have what originally was supposed to be theirs. And if you're a human being and you hear the decision and why they took decision, yes, it may not be politically correct for you, but you should also listen to the word of wisdom and the words of elders. And so that was why I had to step down, and I didn't want to rock the boat, to put up myself for the fight and maybe probably have won or lose. But I believe that I've made my point, and the point is clear, and I got the answer, the reason why that Southeast was not given anything. And that's why you see the vice president is from the West, the same Lagos, and then Speaker is from Southwest and from Lagos. Simply meaning that this decision was taken based on the individual, based on Femi Gbajàbíàmílà, because of what he suffered in 2015. So, and he's been a party person, he's been in leadership all this while and had paid his dues.
How's 2023 looking for you? You, first of all, congratulations on winning your ticket on the APC to run in 2023. If you win, would you still run for Speaker in 2023? If the APC, of course, carries the day.
I believe that the APC will carry the day. And I believe that Southeast will not be neglected this time around, because the scenario is quite different now. So somebody paid his dues last time, and I've also paid my dues. So
will you run for Speaker in 2023?
You will start from zoning. You see what has happened with our presidential primaries. If the Speaker is zoned to Southeast, I will run.
But it does look like it will be zoned to either the Southeast or the Northeast or the Northwest.
So I pray that it's zoned to Southeast.
And you will run?
Yeah.
All right, great. I think one of the concerns many would have is if this country is again ready to revisit the issue of a female speaker, considering how Patricia Ete ended, how she was treated. Now, there are allegations, of course, but many feel that the men set her up.
Of course, that's true.
You feel she was set up as well?
Oh, she was set up because she didn't take a dime. She didn't commit any fraud. It was that some particular persons wanted to be appropriation chairman, which she agreed to. I'm not sure, or she didn't really agree, or when we get the bridge we cross. I do not exactly whether she agreed, and I do not want to say she didn't agree, but I know that's a factor because of some persons believing that they should have been appointed or given the chairmanship of appropriation committee, which after she emerged, felt that the speaker have the prerogative to nominate appropriation chair. And so that was what brought all those things. So they had to make up a lot of issues.
But this concern of a female speaker is really important, considering the fact that you saw what happened with the gender bills and how the men did not support it. How will they support a female speaker in 2023? Are you concerned about that?
My concern is really, yes, I'm concerned because I believe that our male colleagues are not telling themselves the truth. And they will tell you one reason or the other. They will say about things about Ete and all that. And I keep telling them, listen, Ete would have made a very good speaker. You didn't give her a chance. And we went to the same school. Bros, we went to the same school. We're going to the same market. We're in the same floor. We're doing things in the National Assembly. So why do you think that a female colleague can't be an effective speaker? So I'm concerned about this narrative that, oh, she's a woman. So what's wrong with being a woman? Many women have done well in several sectors. And even in parliament, am I not representing well? Are other women not representing well? And so that's an issue of concern. But for the gender bill, I'm still in shock because the people that explained that bill to, who bought into it, who co-sponsored it, this issue of male chauvinism, 9 minutes, 9th hour, they changed. and changed the narratives and voted against it. And so after the voting, I'm like, so is it possible that something that you agreed with, that anybody can convince you not to push it through and see your signature? And he's like, oh, you know, they didn't do it well. Oh, no, try to find reasons, but I'm sure they didn't find any reason. And so that's the concern I have. But moving forward, the gender gap must be bridged.
Let's talk about Southeast politics now. And I think that the people of the Southeast are also concerned as to how well the politics in the Southeast has evolved. I ask this because Southeast, the Igbo people are the ones who are yet to produce a president in this country. Since the return to democracy. And that's majorly because that's a major concern for a number of persons, because it almost seems as though the Igbos are practically begging for this opportunity. What exactly is the problem here with Southeastern politics that has affected them at the federal level?
I think what has affected us is Southeast cannot produce the president without the support of the other regions. So I believe that the other regions have not really made up their mind to support us. Because even if the 5 states come together to bring one person, without the support of the other regions, it won't be. So it's that support from the other region. And until that's done, but I believe that we won't just keep quiet and fold our hands and wait for them. We should get our acts together, come together as one entity, and push and lobby.
Regardless of the party.
Regardless of the party. Even if you want to do it outside party, we have the Ohanaeze wing that is not partisan. It's high time they begin to discuss with the other pressure groups from the other zone. Because politics is discussed. You understand? Especially, how did the South become president? I was telling somebody that they were, during Ibori, they were agitating resource control. They were not giving up. And it was out of that agitation that the federal had them. And they wanted, of course, to bring them on board. And they offered them vice presidential slot, who later became the president. So the Southeast should come together, begin to change the narratives. They have to learn the art of lobbying, not giving up, because if you give up, that's the end of it. I don't believe that any Southeast now will give up on the Nigerian project. So I believe that what we need to do is get our ass together and then lobby the other zones, and of course through political parties. Like I know that when Governor Maya left PDP, he said because that PDP, they have decided not to zone the presidential ticket to Southeast, and believing that APC will zone to Southeast. And of course we were disappointed that they didn't zone to Southeast. But what do? We decided to, because you see, the issue of zoning, even though it's people that are in charge, they will hype it when it suits them. And when it doesn't, they play it down. That's exactly what has happened in 2021, or between 2021 and 2022. And at the time, they say, oh, it's just South. It has to be South. And then if you say South, and the Southwest, the South are not saying, let it be Southeast, we still have this problem. So I believe that it's high time that we sit back and then take stock and figure out the best way to move forward.
Okay, so about the 2023 presidential election now, while it is clear that the people of Southeast had hoped that they would get the presidential seat, you had also advocated for a female vice president in 2023. You said that Nigeria could have a female vice president
Yeah, sure.
in 2023. That's not the case as it stands now.
No, it's not. Nobody
What's
nobody
the
picked a vice president, a woman as vice presidential candidate.
Especially your party.
It's not just my party.
I mean, you're in
PDP.
the APC, so I think
yes.
we'd focus on the APC
Yeah,
for now.
yes. They didn't.
What sort of attention do women in the APC get?
Well, after the shutdown of all the women-related bills, not just the one seat, additional seats. I know that we met with wives of vice president and the president, and then also met with the woman leader of APC, who organized a meeting, and then we met the party chairman, who said something that seems to look like real, but I believe that with political will, at that point that we met him, he would have done something. But he said that, see, this bill didn't pass. If this bill had passed, it would have been justice according to law. All the political parties would have keyed into it, but now they didn't pass. That is work in progress. That we've done a lot of advocacy. Now it is real that these things has to be done, that there's no question about whether it should be done. The truth is that it has to be done. And so moving forward, that we should start now to look at the next election, because that many commitments have been made. That's his words exactly. I was there with the woman leader, with the Minister of Women Affairs, with other women stakeholders and all that. And he told us in plain language that the number we are asking for, we may not get because there are a lot of commitments. But looking beyond 2023 election, that we should start now to start the advocacy and the meetings so that by 2027, we'll be able to have the number that we have. And also, of course, we reminded him about the High Court judgment about affirmative action, which he said that even in his office, he has done 50-50. That the appointment that came out in the national office there, about 8 slots, that he gave 4 to women and 4 to the men, that moving forward, that the appointed positions, that they make sure that they reflect the judgment of the High Court. But the elective positions, because commitment had been made, people had prepared. And then they asked, how do you call somebody whose community have endorsed and they've assured the person because of X, Y, Z, you couldn't make minister, okay, so go to House of Reps or go to Senate. How do you call the person to say, no, I'm giving a woman the ticket? That the party will have issues based on those commitments.
But what does this say of Nigerian politics? I mean, if you look at the UK, for example, there's a Nigerian running to be
mayor,
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
And another woman from Nigeria became a mayor.
So it clearly shows that it's easier for a Nigerian to be a Prime Minister or a mayor in another country than in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yes.
What does this say of Nigerian politics, considering how the world is shifting politically to accommodate more women?
What it says is that we are not ready to meet up with the global standard. We are paying lip service to governance and we are paying lip service to development. Nigeria is where we are today because we've not considered the people who have compassion, who have the ability to deliver. And I can tell you without mincing words that if women had been taken into consideration and given position of responsibility, that what we're having today in terms of insecurity, in terms of government not being able to deliver to the people wouldn't have been the case. Because women are caregivers, women have more conscience, women will not betray as much as what we are seeing today. Women they fear God most because that's the way they are created. Of course, the Bible, God himself said, I brought a rib and said, to be helpmeet to Adam. And so if you're neglecting that helpmeet that God has sanctioned, that this one supposed to be the helpmeet, and then you're not doing it, What he's simply saying is that you cannot do well.
For the 2023 presidential election now, considering the agitation in the Southeast and the sense that power should have shifted to the Southeast. Now, we already know that the APC is not that popular in the Southeast. Does the APC stand a chance of winning at all in the Southeast? Because if you listen to the speech of Dr. Onyejeocha during the presidential primary, he clearly stated that there was some unfairness to the people of the Southeast.
Absolutely.
So how will the APC fare in the Southeast in 2023?
I believe that APC should do more consultation, because if you're talking about governing a country, that a particular zone is agitating, even from non-state actors, and they're trying to do some things that ordinarily shouldn't have been done, that our party APC should do more consultation. They should consult with Southeast on way forward. Apart from president and vice president, there's a way you carry a region on board. There's a way you bring a region in, and then the region will know that there's something in here for us. Okay? So you cannot neglect any zone, whether it's Southeast or Southwest or Northeast or North Central or Northwest. Nigeria is one entity. And if we believe that Nigeria is one entity and under APC, that Nigeria will be one, APC should come down and negotiate with the people, including Southeast. Even when you have taken a decision, and you're not telling me why you take that decision, and what is in that decision for me, I may not support you. But if you tell me, it's about conviction, it's about telling people, it's about reaching out. Because somebody who is saying yes today may say no tomorrow. Somebody who is saying no today may say yes tomorrow.
Speaking about conviction, are you convinced with the Muslim ticket of the APC?
It's not about conviction. The problem we have with Muslim ticket is that Nigerians, we are so divided among religious groups, ethnicity, and all whatnot. And so now it's bringing it up to say, is he a Christian? Is he a Muslim? If you have good governance, nobody will remember that this guy is a Christian or this guy is a Muslim. And I believe that until that's done, by next time, the pagan will say, we must have a pagan president. The Hindu in Nigeria will say, oh, he has to be a Hindu. You understand? So it borders on good governance. Until that is done, the agitation will keep aggravating. It will still be an issue. When people are hungry, they do not remember their religion. Hunger is hunger. Insecurity is insecurity. It knows no religion. It knows no ethnicity. And so these are the things that are making people to voice out. And so APC have taken their decision, and so you can't say, oh, they don't have right to take that decision. You understand? Like what I said earlier on Southeast issue, the APC should do more consultation, should still consult with the Christians.
Well, with the kind of reactions that this Muslim tickets is generating, are you afraid or are you concerned about the chances of the APC if going into the 2023 presidential election?
The thing is that the agitation is there, the concerns are there, but I'm telling you something, that somebody who is saying yes today may say no tomorrow. Somebody who is saying no today may say yes. So it's about reaching out to people. The CAN is there, the Pentecostal Fellowship is there. And I've seen some people who are Christian who've said, oh, that they know His Excellency Tinubu's wife to be a pastor. I've also seen some Christians who are saying, oh, that they live in Borno, that even during the governor Shetima's reign, that he brought some Christians to be part of his government. Okay? So if people don't know, they will not know. So you need to tell us that it's not about Islamization. It's not about segregation. It's about one country. And mind you, we need to have a country first before we talk about who is a Muslim and who is a Christian. What is on the front burner today? Insecurity. Are these people going to have solutions to bring this insecurity to a halt? Because if we lose focus on what the issues are and we run with religion or ethnicity, we may not have a country.
All right, let me ask you, I know that as a former PDP member and now an APC member, you're used to going head-to-head with each other. But there seems to be a third party that's considered itself to be a front runner as well, the Labour Party, and they're growing rapidly in terms of popularity and acceptance. What are your thoughts on the Labour Party and specifically the candidacy of Peter Obi?
And one thing that you will not take away from this conversation is that there's God angle in everything, and that people in 2023 will vote individuals.
Yeah. So
yeah,
what do you think about Peter Obi and
that's what I'm
his
saying.
chances?
It's the point is that people who like Peter Obi will vote Peter Obi. People who like Asiwaju will vote Asiwaju. People who like Atiku will vote Atiku. Because people are more aware now. People, you speak to somebody that will believe, oh, this person cannot vote this way because he's from this way. You say, no, I'm going this way. And another person say, no, I'm going that way. In the same room.
So, for
and
many...
with the kind of INEC we have now, you understand, you will see a lot of individuals getting votes because of who they are. And everybody have
beyond
history.
the party.
Yes, everybody have history.
Many political experts are of the opinion that Peter Obi's growing popularity is beginning to affect the political dynamics of the country. Do you see that as well? Or do you think it's still going to be business as usual between the PDP and the APC? I
do not know what is business as usual. What I know is that politics is dynamic and it depends on what all these people do from now on. You understand? You are a journalist. You can come to a place to interview people, and in the morning, everything will seem like charged. You even be scared about your life. You'll be so scared. And by the time you leave that place to another place, they will say, these people are laughing. You will not believe it. So it is how it is. So nobody, including me, will tell you that in 2023, this is sure banker what's going to happen. Because I do not know what APC will do from now till December. Assuming there's no issue anymore, and then Nigerians are like, oh, we trust them to deliver because they are bringing Muslim ticket. What happens? Will you go back? And then assuming they say, oh, because XYZ, we are going this way. You see, so that's the point. There's God's angle in everything, and there's dynamism in politics. Things can change, things can go wrong, things can go right. So
just before
I do not have an opinion on what exactly.
You know why that question is really apt is because you had started this conversation talking about the need for the Southeast to come together and maintain a particular voice to be able to win the presidential seat. So seeing someone who is not in your party from the Southeast gaining this sort of popularity would raise a question of if that unity is possible. But you have clearly stated that you don't want to have an opinion on that. So just before we go, let's talk about your state, Abia State now. We have both agreed, or you have also alluded to the fact that the APC is not popular in Abia State.
Was not popular when I joined.
So it is now popular in Abia State. And for the governorship election in 2023, you think that APC stands a chance?
Yes, from the people have seen around, my governorship candidate have a very great chance.
Is it because of the popularity of the APC in the States now?
Because of his person.
Or because of how the governor, the PDP governor, Onyejeocha, has performed?
My candidate, the APC candidate, is somebody that I know will deliver, and most Abians know he will deliver. And then number two, I have told you that elections in 2023 will not be the way it used to be. People are going to cast their vote based on individuals. Okay? And I also know that APC is popular in Abia State as we speak. Because in the state, because of the non-performance of PDP, the projects that you see, if I'm the person, somebody that commissions project, I'll be like reverse commissioning. APC have delivered on infrastructure in Abia State.
Okay, finally, as someone who was among those who drafted the electoral acts, the new electoral act or the amended electoral acts now, how do you see it playing out in 2023, and what are your expectations of INEC with regard to that electoral act?
Well, I would say we've tested it in Ekiti, in Osun, and I believe if INEC maintain the start they are posing now, that it will be better for Nigerians, and then we'll have credible elections.
So you have no concerns going into 2023 general elections?
I don't have concerns going into 2023 because INEC was more than prepared for the beavers, for the electronic voting or instrument they are using. Remember that when that issue of not signing it, that INEC was worried that if the Electoral Act was not assented to, that it would change the whole scenario, because that everything had been put in place, in motion, as against 2023 election. So if we change our mind and we do not push it to be assented, that they will have a very big gridlock, meaning that INEC was prepared from last year, working towards beavers and electronic voting.
Honorable Onyejeocha, thank you very much for coming to speak with me on Political Paradigm.
Thank you very much, Terry, for having me.
And please let us know when you declare to run for Speaker in 2020.
I will let you know. But I pray that my party
carries majority
and then zone it to Southeast.
Very well then. Well, that's Political Paradigm. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember to catch this and other episodes on YouTube. Just search Political Paradigm or go to channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikubi. Goodbye.